Welcome back. Okay, let's dive into the virtual page station's control panel and start to make some noise. I'm going to double click my virtual page station, zoom out a little bit. All right, now right now we've got some controls here. We're going to actually expand this virtual page station a little bit later, and there's going to be even more controls. For now, let's just keep it in its default mode, and we'll take a look at what each of these buttons does. At the very top, you have a control section, and this is where you can start or cancel a page. There's a couple of important LEDs here that tell you the state of the system. This is specifically about whether or not the zone that you are trying to send a message to is busy or not. And it'll tell you, hey, this is either busy or false with a true or false LED. If it's ready, you get LED here. And if you're recording, you get true or false here. Remember, anytime you see an LED in the system, that is a control pin that you can expose. That is a 1 and a 0. That is a true and a false. You can use that to tie to logic anywhere else in the system to have it do anything. So LEDs are more than just flashy lights. I always want to remind people that you can use them as calls to actions to make any of your logic do whatever it is you want to have happen. But we can't do anything yet. The talk button is grayed out. We need to configure where we want to send our announcements before it's ready to go. So for that, first, we're going to dive to the bottom of the control panel, the zone selection. I have my 5 zones. You'll notice that these are called zone 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This did not get the names that we configured in the administrator. And for that reason, these actually aren't my favorite buttons. I'm going to show you how you can use better buttons than these a little bit later on, but we'll use these for now. So if I want to page the lobby, I'm going to engage zone 1. If I look back up here, it says, please select priority. It's kind of telling you why it's not ready to send out an announcement yet. So I look in this section here, it says priority. I need to select a priority. Nothing can go out if you have not selected a priority. So I'm going to send out a game over man level announcement here. Now it's ready to go, and I have a button that says talk. And it says talk because we are currently in live mode, the mode of what kind of announcement you're going to send. This is a drop-down menu. I can click this and choose between live, auto, delay, message, or loop message. What does all this mean? Well, live mode is the default one. That is a live page. That's when you've got a microphone, you talk into it, and the page goes out. So let's do that first. I'm going to put my hover monitor over my lobby 1, and let's see if it works. I'm going to hit talk into my microphone, and I'm done. It worked. I saw those levels come through right on my zone 1, and the announcement was complete. Not so bad. Now, some people prefer to hold down a button in order to talk into it, rather than press it once to talk and then press it a second time to disengage. That's what this knob here is for, this 300 millisecond. If you hold down this button for longer than 300 milliseconds, it becomes a momentary button where you have to keep on pressing it and then you release it. So I can do this. I'm going to hold it down. This is my vocal page. And release. Now the page is complete, and that has been sent as well. So you got a button that can operate in 2 different modes. Either it latches on, or it's a momentary, and you kind of have to continue holding onto it. That's your live page. I could choose to change this to a delayed page. And there's a lot of good reasons why you might want to change this to a delayed page. A delayed page will record your voice and then send it out as if it were a message after you've finished recording it. Now, this is good for a couple of reasons. A, if you're recording it and you don't like it, you can hit the cancel button and then try again. So just if you're bad with your words and you're not sure you're going to get the words out the way you want them to, then you can make sure you have a couple tries before just being live onto the system. But more importantly, if you do delay it, then it is possible for that to go into the queuing system if you're sending it to a zone that's busy. If you're doing a live page, it's not recording you. So you can only use a live page in a zone that is currently available. Generally speaking, I'd say that you'd save live pages for emergencies, something where you got to say it right now and get it out immediately, and it's going to be the highest priority, so it's going to override anything that's already else is playing, and that way you don't have to worry about it being interrupted and whether or not it's going to go into the queue. Otherwise, I'd say delay is kind of the way to go. There's exceptions to it. Obviously, it's always up to your personal preference. You're at the airport, you can see when they're giving announcements and they're just saying, hey, we're ready to take baggage if people want to come and give me their bags. They're doing those as live pages because they just know their environment. They know that they're not going to be interrupted and they're talking live. But use it at your discretion. Generally I think delay is probably a better way to go. There's another option though. You could pick auto. Auto, what does auto mean? Well, auto means that it will analyze the zone where it's being sent. And if the zone is available, it will go out as a live page. And if the zone is unavailable, it will go out as a delayed page. So it will get out as quickly as possible based on what the zone is or is not doing. Maybe that's the behavior that you prefer. However, there's a downside to that as well. If you are a receptionist who isn't really familiar with the way this system works, and you hit that button and sometimes your mic is hot and you're talking live, and sometimes it's recording you and it's delayed and it goes out a little bit later, and you don't really understand why, that might be confusing to the receptionist who's sending that out. So maybe auto's not the right choice, depending on who's using it. You've got the options is the point. You can choose which one of these you're going to use. For each of these, you also have the option to engage a preamble. A preamble is a short, usually musical ditty that occurs before the announcement goes out. And this is important, especially for things like a mall, a hotel. If you're going to give an announcement, you got to get people's attention first. If you just start talking, people are in mid-conversation. They don't know. They're not ready to hear their voice being announced and being called to the front desk. They're doing something else. So get their attention first. We have preambles here. Now there's two fields here. The first field is a subdirectory of preambles. We're going to look in the core manager and its file structure. If you have different types of preambles, you can create subfolders. If you don't, then just go right here to the general preamble folder. These are all the preambles that come on the system, along with a couple that I added. All the ones that come on the system are terrible. They're terrible. I don't know what low-budget, failing magic stores, discounts, wacky sound effects CD bin we stole from to get these sound effects, but everyone is worse than the last. Do you want to start your announcements with bike horn double? I'll tell you the answer. You don't. I know that. Do you want to hear it? I'll show it to you. We're going to go into delay mode, and I'm going to send this announcement. I'm going to record it. That was the worst thing we ever heard, right? Wait for it. Here it comes. That was the worst thing we ever heard, right? Yeah, that's an option in Q-SYS. I don't know why. This has to be a joke from the developers. I don't know how they're still in here. Do you want to use the alarm beeps 8s? Yeah, nobody wanted that. Give it a listen. Yeah, nobody wanted that. Right? Don't use these. Don't use them. Make your own. Use your own. I've got some that I created called our Facebook Hotel Preamble. We're going to use those. This is the way people know they're going to be part of Fake Hotel. Thank you for coming to Fake Hotel. Listen to this nice one. An announcement from Fake Hotel. Thank you for coming to Fake Hotel. Yeah, that's the way to go. Make your own preambles, please. Don't use the ones that we gave you. Again, those preambles are available for you. They're on the core manager, and I'll show you that in just 1 second. The last thing to consider is your max page duration. You can change how long a page could last, and then it'll cut it off if someone goes too long. That's really important because sometimes people might hit a button and then accidentally walk away from the desk and they're leaving the mic open and they're not realizing it. So you might want to limit it to make sure it automatically cuts off at a certain time. Otherwise, they could just keep it not limited and it's going to stay indefinitely. So don't do that. Those are the 3 paging options. Options 4 and 5 are for messages. So I could select message. When I'm in message mode, then I have access to these other fields over here. These are very similar to the preamble folder structure where you've got a subfolder and then the folder of your announcements. And here I have preloaded a couple of announcements to my core. I'm going to pick the valet one. If you don't know how to load audio files to the core, let's do that right now. You can go to your core manager either by selecting the name of your core in the top corner while it's running. You could go to Tools, Show Core Manager. You could input the IP address of your core. However you get there, you're going to be greeted with your core manager screen. And on that screen is a tab called Files. We'll go from Files, and here are all the audio files on the core. The ones that are explicitly for the paging system are segregated there for a reason. There's a folder called Messages. Here in the Messages folder, these are the only messages that the PA system can have access to. It cannot go back and look into your audio folder. It has to be in the Messages folder. So here, if I made a subfolder, maybe I had some seasonal announcements, and then we'll open up that, and if I'm going to add some, I'll add a file to that subdirectory there. And then when I go up, that subdirectory is now going to be visible within your design. So let me hop back over there. And if I go to the message field, you can see that now I can see my subdirectories, and I could choose my subdirectory and then any message that is in that subdirectory. That's what those fields are there for. I'm going to keep it on my root directory, and we'll play that valet announcements. Same is true for the preambles. If you go up a tier, then you have a preambles folder. This is where I added my fake hotel options, and once again, this is where all of the pre-existing preambles are. You can also choose to audition these by hitting the play button right here and choose a terrible preamble. Other than that, you'll also notice the Page Archives folder. That's the folder where the pages get saved if you have indeed chosen to archive them at every single, or at the relevant priority level. All right, so let's hop back over here and make sure that our message works. So I'm going to play my message to zone 1. Here's something interesting. Now that we're in message mode, this button says something different, doesn't it? It used to say talk. It said talk when it was in live mode. And when we changed it to delay, it went to record. The legend of this button has changed. The legend is the control tree of a control that dictates what its label is. So part of the scripting that happens under the hood as you change the mode is that the legend of that particular button will update it so that the user knows what verb they are about to do in the world. Are they going to talk? Are they going to record something? Are they going to play something? In fact, if you go to loop message mode, which we'll talk about in a bit, it now says loop. Now, the benefit of this is that you've got an adaptive button that is really useful to the user so they know what they're doing. The downside is that if you grab this control, pull it out of this control panel, put it on a UCI, you can't rename it. If you try to rename it, that legend will still be re-updated when you're changing modes, and it'll be overridden. So that's this control. If you want to make your own name or your own verb for the button, you're going to have to create your own control and then use a control pin to wire it to this, technically a talk button. But we're just going to use it as it is. Let me put this back to my message mode and make sure that my message works. I'll hit play right here to zone 1.
An announcement from Fake Hotel. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have left your vehicle with the valet, Fake Hotel would like to remind you that we do not have a valet service and you have been robbed. Thank you.
Yep, that's our announcement. All right, the other version of sending a message is to go to the loop message, as I mentioned. In loop message mode, watch this. Watch the control panel. What changes in the control panel as you change modes? In message mode versus loop mode. What changed? Did you see it? Here, I'll show you again. Message versus loop. Two different things happened. The max page duration changed and the retry button disengaged. Why? When we're in loop mode, then you can choose a max page duration, because what's going to happen is the announcement will play, and then it will play again, and it will play again, and it will loop endlessly until you hit your max page duration. So this is for sending out an announcement that you want to just stay on repeat for a very long time. And obviously, if that's the case, then you would not be retrying this, because it doesn't even make sense to retry something that is happening endlessly. So that's our loop message mode. I won't hit play on this one. I think you can understand what that is.